Hello everybody. For today's video, I've been getting a couple of requests, just a couple, on how to do eyebrows. So today's video I'm just going to be doing my brow routine, basically, only because I know I don't really put it in my videos just because I mean I feel like everybody has their own brow routine, but I'm going to just go in a little bit more depth for mine. I'm also going to show how I do my winged liner as well as my lash application. So with that said, let's just get right into it. So I just trimmed my brows so if they look kind of like patchy, that's why I just trimmed them a bit shorter, just in the interest of making this video a little bit easier. I find that brows are a little bit easier to fill when the hairs aren't like as long. It just makes it a little bit easier. So for my brow product, I've been using the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I recently got a new one and I have been using medium brown. I know that shade's pretty dark, especially since my hair is relatively light right now, but I really just kind of wanted to change up my brow routine a little bit, and I really like a nice bold sharp brow, so I just wanted to go a little bit darker. The brush I've been using is the Anastasia brow brush, and this is the 12. If you are more on the I want the more natural looking fill kind of end of the spectrum, then I would recommend using like a thicker brow brush versus one that's like really thin, because that's going to give you a little bit more of a diffused look, while this is going to give you that sharper, like cutting kind of look. So first I always just brush out my brows. It's pretty standard. Oh shit. It's pretty standard when doing brows, but if you're brand new to them, to like doing brows, you might not know that. It just kind of helps by making all the hairs go the right way, the same way, and it just makes filling a little bit easier. So I never really know what brow to start with, just because I'm always gonna end up liking my left one more than my right one. That's just how it works. That's just how the universe made it. My brows are constantly sisters, no matter how hard I try to make them twins. So I have a relatively decent shape to my brow. They do kind of stop a little bit shorter. I kind of tend to bring them a little bit farther down. You know, whatever, this is just, it's gonna be a little bit harder maybe translating, because every brow shape is different. Everybody's face shape is different. So this might not translate the same for you as it does for me, but I'm just gonna like still do my best to just walk through, and maybe it could help you, you know, better shape your brows. So for the sake of making this video as helpful as possible, I'm going to start with my favorite brow, the right brow. So I don't know if you can really tell on camera, my brows do grow differently. So the front here on my right, it grows upwards. My left brow, it just grows normally with the rest of my brow hair. And you would think this would be more of a challenge, but actually this one always turns out better than this one. So I'm just gonna start with my right one. So I start by just kind of lining the bottom here with product, and I do overdraw my brows. I don't necessarily stick exactly to the natural curve of my brow. That just kind of helps achieve the shape that I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna go a little bit under. I'm just kind of cutting under where my arch is, and I'm just gonna kind of bring it down and then follow and extend it like that. So I mean, this is kind of jagged. It will get better. And typically I do have to touch up my brows anyway, so ignore that for right now, and I'm just gonna kind of round off the bottom edge of my brow, and I'm just gonna bring it here. So then I just kind of have a good like starting point for where I want my brow to go. So then I'm gonna start up top, and since the top part of my brow is actually pretty good, I'm just gonna kind of stick to it. I do tend to draw a little bit higher to just accentuate the arch. So I'm just bringing that stuff up here and just building a little bit more on the arch, and then going down and sticking along the natural line of my brow. And then I'm bringing it down and connecting it to my bottom line there. And I do bring it farther down. Now you don't have to bring it this far down at all. I just like nice, bold, full brows. And so then I'm gonna brush the product through. This is just gonna help distribute it throughout my brow, and I'm going back and forth. I'm not going just one way. I'm shaking it back and forth. Not shaking it, but brushing it back and forth. so the product is distributed through my brows and not just on top of my brows. And once I've kind of done that, kind of diffuse the lines a little bit so they don't look so harsh, I'm going back in with more product and I'm gonna start filling in the back end of my brow. I like to create more of a fade look with my brows just because I don't want them to look completely like sharpied in. I like to have it a bit lighter up front and then darker on the tail. So right now I'm just darkening the tail up and just kind of sharpening out those lines a little bit. And I'm not bringing it in all the way just so I can create that kind of ombre, like kind of fade look. So once I get to about like, I don't know, what is that, like the front third of my brow, I'm actually gonna be holding my brush like this rather than sideways. So what I'm gonna do is just brush remaining product to the front end of my brow. And what this is doing is I'm not adding any more product onto the brush, I'm just using whatever is left on my brush and just kind of smudging what's over on this end of my brow forward. That way it's going to be more diffused, it's not going to be as harsh, and it's going to create that nice kind of fade effect that I'm looking for my brow. And that's pretty much it. And then I just do my absolute best to match the other side. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to clean up my brow a little bit because it's good for the most part, but I like it to be nice and sharp. That's kind of like the shape that I'm looking for. So it's still got a good amount of arch to it. The higher point up here definitely helps. And sometimes if I struggle with having the bottom part sharp, like it looks pretty good right now, but I can kind of still see a little bit of just unevenness. Sometimes it's good to get a little bit of the product on the brush and go in like this and just kind of build from the top versus just keep building more on the bottom where you're kind of likely to start making it worse. So I'm just going up here. And just kind of tightening the line up a little bit underneath. And then I'm just, again, diffusing that product throughout. Another thing that I use to help touch up my brow, or brows, whatever, is the LA Girl Pro Concealer. So this is what I use a lot to touch up my brows and to touch up my winged liner. I don't really use this in my videos just because I don't think it's like super necessary. Everybody has their own way of touching things up. I just use this one, and I've been using this one a lot lately and I really like it. The brush is kind of flat. I don't know if you can see. It's kind of flat, so you can really kind of get a little bit more precision with it. I'm sorry, this is kind of dirty. I'm just gonna kind of sketch it in a little bit, and I'm not using a lot of product just because I don't want to get concealer into my brows, and then that's just a whole nother problem. So I'm just kind of running this along the bottom of my brow just to help kind of sharpen any lines that I couldn't get with the dip brow, because sometimes adding more product doesn't necessarily fix the brow. It might just make it kind of chunky, and that's going to be harder to brush through, and I just want to avoid making things harder because, yeah. Taking a concealer brush, just a flat one, and I'm just running that and just blending it down. And that's pretty much it. And then typically I do set my brows with a gel. I'm out of my Benefit one right now, but I have a NYX one. NYX Tinted Brow Mascara, and this is brunette. I actually really like this one. It's got decent pigment to it and it doesn't get clumpy. And it just kind of helps set all the hairs in place and maybe just help fill in any spots that aren't as pigmented or like as thickly drawn in, if that makes sense. I can't really explain it, it's hard. And I'll just bring a little bit up the front to just help balance out everything. I mean, that's how I do my brows. That's typically just my everyday routine. And then I just pray to Jesus that I can get this one even. So it for brows. So I'm going to finish this one. And then we're going to move on to winged liner. Okay, so I did my other brow and it's alright. What I do, sometimes there are days where you just want to have some eyeliner and call it good, but sometimes it transfers on you, so you'll have your liner, but throughout the day it'll get like up on your lid. So I have a few eyeliners that I'm honestly just trying to go through right now before I purchase a new one, and it's really hard to do. But I have like a mini Stila one, I have a mini tattoo liner, and then I've been using just a NYX liquid liner to help sharpen everything out. So I mean, and I also have a Sephora fine line liner. I have a lot of different ones that I use, and typically when I do wing liner, I'll just go in with like one of these pens and then I'll just sharpen it up with like this NYX liquid liner. And sometimes I just use the liquid liner, but I don't know, it just really depends. So I'm just gonna show how I've been doing my liner lately and how it has worked for me. So I'm just gonna take this pen here, this is a Stila one, and what I do is first I just kind of map out the edge of where I want my wing to be. And so for me personally, I feel like I look weird with thin wings, like my eye shape, it just doesn't jive well, or because my eyelids are, you know, not huge. I don't know, I don't like really thin wings on me, so I always go for the really thick ones. And you can definitely thin this out if you want, but this is just going to be a bit of a thicker wing, just disclaimer there. So first I start on the edge of my eye and I just bring it up, and I like a nice lifted wing. I don't like ones that like go super long. I like to have them kind of just like go up to Jesus. And typically my wings don't really curve. A lot of times they end up going just more straight into like my bottom lash line. This pen is like dying, so I'm gonna switch over to the Kat Von D one. So after I kind of have my line, what I like to do is I just like to rest my hand and take the tip of that liner and match it with the tip of the like edge here, and I just bring it in about halfway to my lid. So I'm just gonna do it. Sometimes I bring it all the way, sometimes I just meet it. I don't know, it depends on how you build your wing personally. And then I'm just going from the inner corner and I'm just meeting it to where I started that wing. And I'm just gonna fill it in using the side of the liner. Don't go in like this, like point down and try and fill it in. It's gonna take you a lot longer and it might get a little messy. If you lay your liner down on its side, you're gonna fill it in a little bit quicker and you're gonna have a little bit more control. And that's pretty much it for the most part. And then I just go in and I just kind of sharpen it up. Just kind of like that. And this one is going out more than I typically like. I like to have my wings pushed up more, but I mean, you get the idea. You can always like alter the shape of it. And sometimes when I use pens, I feel like they're not as dark as I want, because I like just nice dark black wings. So I'll go in, that's when I go with my NYX liquid liner, just like kind of do it over, and then I'll like help sharpen the wing up a little bit too on the tip here. So I mean, it's your preference depending on how you like your wing, what you want it to look like. This is just how I like to do mine. And so in touching up my eyeliner, this usually always happens, I kind of extended it a little bit longer than I wanted. So I'm gonna go in with that LA Girl Pro Conceal again and just kind of help sharpen the edge and kind of get rid of that extra length that I do not want. Okay, so I guess I'm just going with this shape. It's really not as long as I typically do it. This is just a more dramatic version of it. Mine usually stops about here, but I really just don't feel like ink all over my face right now. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like the rundown on how I do mine. Just kind of map out the line here, and then I just connect the corner and just bring it all the way into the inner part of my eye. So I'm gonna just try and match this side, and then we'll just go into lash application. Okay, so today is a really bad eyeliner day, so ignore my botched wings. Normally they are not this awful, but today I'm struggling. So yeah, my lighting is getting really bad right now because it is almost winter and it gets dark at 4 now, so I'm gonna turn on a light. Okay, so I have a little bit more light. I have a really bad lighting arrangement right now. My mirror lights decided to die the other day out of nowhere, so yeah, we're gonna be working with some really shitty lighting, but I can see better. Please, oh my god, my eyeliner, I mean, this was actually not so bad. This one, like, this one is the one that I always struggle with. For eyelashes, I'm just going to do some 113s by Ardell. These are just kind of really long wispies, so I'm just gonna stick those over the liner. I'm not gonna put mascara on just because this is just a how-to video. Normally I do put my mascara on before I put my lashes on, that way I'm not putting my mascara on after and getting them all junked up, my lashes junked up with mascara. So the glue I use is the Duo, and it's just the green one. It's like the brush on glue, and my tube is like covered in glue. So I'm just gonna be brushing it on the strip just like this here, just like you normally would. And I like the Duo. Okay, so it's like in the green like box, not the pink or the blue, because this stuff dries quicker. You don't have to wait as long. It's easier to put on the lash band, and it actually is formaldehyde free, so that's good. I didn't know Duo had formaldehyde in it. That's pretty gross. For my lashes is I just plunk them. I hold them kind of up at an angle, and I just kind of plunk them towards the center, and then I just use my tweezers to, hold on, I need a little mirror. And then I just use my tweezers to help set down the edges. And you want them as close to your natural lash line as possible, but you don't want them on the lashes. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I have a chunk of eyeliner just kind of hanging out right there. Ignore that. Okay guys, so I'm sorry it got really dark. It got really dark really fast. It just like was bright, and then 20 minutes later it just got a little bit darker. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope it gives you a better idea on maybe how to apply brows, maybe do wing liner. The eyelashes, I mean, I don't know how helpful that was, but I mean, that's just what I do personally, and it works really well for me. So yeah, I'm sorry I didn't like put mascara on, but like I said, like after my botched eyeliner, I got a little less inspired. But yeah, just I hope the application process made sense. But anyway, until next time guys, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.